Welcome back to Ask Our Experts at Forza, and we're delighted to have Becky du Feu from Du Feu Design. So welcome.
Nice to be here.
I'm so glad you're here because I've a little hint about what we're talking about today might be the fact that I'm wearing bright fuchsia coloured trousers because we're going to talk about colour. But before we get into colour, it'd be great to know a little bit about you, Becky, and your sort of background in interior design.
Yeah. Well, I graduated from Nottingham-Trent in interior architecture and design, moved straight down to London, managed to get a job back when it was easy to get a job as a graduate in 2003, working in bar and restaurant design in a company based in Hoxton Square, so great fun. I was there for about 2 years, I think, and then we merged with a larger agency, and we predominantly did commercial and high-end residential design. And again, I was there for a couple of years and decided to go over to Dubai for 6 months.
Wow, I didn't know that. You learned something new.
So I was over there for 6 months working for a branding agency called Landor, but I was part of the 3D team. And it was the only 6 months of my career where budgets were no object. So it was pretty different to working in the UK. So I was there for 6 months, but I missed East London and came back to the same agency, and I think I was there for about 14 years, worked my way up to become a shareholder director, and then 3 years ago decided to venture out on my own. I worked with some great brands along the way, McDonald's, Virgin Hotels, June Shoes, Phase Eight, etc. But yes, decided to do my own thing, and here I am now.
Amazing. And so you your practice now is I suppose split a little bit across both the commercial and residential, which kind of you know, working for yourself, you kind of have to work a mix of everything.
Absolutely.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
So just kind of focusing specifically on the residential end of your business, what's your sort of approach to a residential project?
Well, it is very different to commercial, obviously. So, it's really important to get to know the clients. So I ideally would meet them in their own space. Obviously, it's been difficult with COVID.
Yes.
But ideally, go and meet them in their space, see how they use their space.
Yeah.
Obviously, they spend a lot of time there, so it's very important to get to know how they use their space, what it is that they're after. So I'd go and meet them in their environment and get to know them as a person as well, and see what their needs are and what their desires are. So I think it's very different compared to a commercial project. Obviously, you're dealing with a brand there. So
and it's because your home is such a personal space in itself.
So much time there, don't you? So,
absolutely, and I think it is really important to have that conversation in their space. We often, obviously, we're in the Forza showroom. So we have clients coming in to here, but it's always important for us to see that space and understand it as well. So, for the designers to go into the home as well and really understand, like you said, how are you using the space? Because sometimes you might have, I would imagine, quite a large scale of projects. So it could be something quite small, like a specific area, or it could be the whole
home. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And it's interesting as well because obviously with a commercial project, normally they have a shelf life, each design of about 5 to 7 years, and then they'll refurbish. However, with a residential project, it's more, there's a longevity to it, and you need to be careful you're not designing something that's going to go out of trend, for instance, or something that it needs to last, basically, and have longevity to the design.
Amazing. And that, I think, is kind of leads me into my next question, which is obviously when you're working on a residential project, you've kind of got to create a structure, I suppose, for how you work. And I know a lot of people that are kind of watching this either on Instagram or watching us later on YouTube and might be thinking about working with an interior designer, and maybe they've never done that, don't know how does that process work initially with you?
Well, firstly, obviously, I'd like to meet them in their environment, and then simply I would get a brief from the client, and I'm not a designer that then goes away and disappears for a few weeks and comes back with a design. It's a collaboration with the client, basically. So I would go away and produce some mood boards, some look and feel mood boards, and then meet with the client again, hopefully in the environment again, and see what the client loves and also what they hate. And I don't think clients really know what they love and hate until they see it on paper. And it's important to know what they don't like as well as what they love.
You can have many a conversation with them, like, no, I don't really have any strong feelings, and then you present something and they hate that.
But that's important to know. So obviously that would be the first stage. and then I would go away and amend those mood boards, and hopefully then come up with a set of mood boards that everyone's on board with to progress the design. And then obviously you start doing the sketch layouts, maybe some visuals, and do all the layouts. And I think it's just a collaborative journey, basically.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
amazing. So with that in mind, I think, you know, I wanted to focus a little bit on colour, because I think we've all kind of been at home with COVID for quite some time, and I think a lot of people have, you know, maybe we decorate our houses, and like you said, we're now spending a lot more time in them, and perhaps people are being a little bit more interested in changing the kind of look and feel of their homes, and colour is obviously a really great way to do that.
Absolutely.
So, but equally could be quite scary if you've kind of got everything as a very neutral tone in the home, to suddenly go, oh, I'm going to put loads of colour in. And how do you approach that in your sort of design, you know, process?
I mean, I love colour, but however, I think you probably start with a basis where you choose a neutral or 3 neutrals, when you choose pendants, I suppose, 1 or 3. I don't know why that's a rule in interior design, but it is. Don't go for 2. And then you've got that palette, and I think then you can have some fun. So, for instance, you could choose an accent wall to try a colour or a wall covering. These things can be changed very easily. If you were choosing a marble top, for instance, on your expensive kitchen, I probably wouldn't go too on trend, because obviously you're expecting that to last a little bit longer. But you can have fun with ironmongery, for instance, coloured handles, or fabrics on your seating in the environment, or rugs, or accent colours on walls. I think it's important as well to be able to play with textures. So using marble, for instance, we've mentioned, or timbers and metals, and just playing with different shades and tones and textures. I think that's key, and also scale as well.
Yeah, that's it.
It's good to play.
Not the water over.
It's good to be able to play with scale as well of different materials.
Yeah,
and that's some fun.
Yeah, exactly. Because colour, I think it should be fun, and your home should be a reflection of you. And I'm sure you know most people want to have a little pop of colour somewhere.
Pops of colour, absolutely. And I think it's important when you're choosing colours as well that you can't just choose these pots of colour or wall coverings in a shop. You need to put them on your walls, because they just look so different in different environments, at different times of the day as well. Just trial them on your walls, on your future wall, or whatever it is, and make sure you like them at different times of the day. And also, don't forget your ceilings. I mean, it's the largest wall in your home and environment, and I think you don't always just know how to paint it white, so think about different colours with your ceilings as well.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Yeah, I mean, you could really play around with that, especially
absolutely.
talking about scale. Dark scale, it can really change that. Because similarly, when we talk to clients about kitchens, we sort of look at how best we can create a blend of different textures and feel. Doesn't necessarily have to be bold colours, but you can play with metallics. Metallics is a great, I mean, the kitchen we're sort of sat in now, you can see a metallic finish there, and that can really create some interest and some drama as well, which is lovely. So we've kind of touched on how to incorporate colour, but what if somebody is kind of maybe has made a bit of a mistake and has put lots of different colours together, and they haven't really, you know, they've kind of gone that kind of maximalist, you know, which is a trend, which is great,
and and it can look great in certain places.
But how do you avoid creating sort of too many clashing?
I mean, I think choose one hero colour to start with, and to start your palette off with, and then maybe work from that. And also, if you're the hero colour you're choosing, I would choose something that is not just on trend, for instance, something that I don't know, it's personal to you. My favourite colour is green. So maybe I'd choose a green and then work out what other colours go with green, some more accent colours. I think that would be my advice. Choose a hero colour.
So I'll see if anyone's got any questions about colour at all in our lovely audience.
What are the current colour trends at the moment?
Sorry?
What are the current colour trends you're finding at the moment?
Well, Pantone actually, their colours for this year were a grey and a yellow, which I thought was quite interesting. Rather than one colour, they went for a pair. I think yellow obviously makes everyone feel a bit happier. It's quite a bright colour, and then the strong kind of sturdy grey. So that was the Pantone colour of the year. colours of the year.
I saw
I
that
think
Dulux-
brights.
bright colours.
Bright colours.
And
yeah.
interesting, I saw Dulux had just announced what colour that sort of sky blue colour.
Yes,
Which-
calming, new life apparently. Is that
Yeah,
what they were
that's
saying?
what they were saying.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting that
Yeah.
you've got the quite a spectrum there, really
Yes,
bold,
yes.
a bright yellow to
Bright,
like
yeah.
a very pale blue, which
Yeah,
is quite almost a neutral in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the other thing I think is quite interesting is you can play around with. We talked about it in textures, but flooring as well. Actually,
Yes.
using colour in your flooring could be quite interesting as
Yeah,
well in
absolutely.
a project
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's so many more. I think now we've got so many more options in terms of coloured
Definitely.
flooring that
tiles
looks
and
tiles
yeah,
and
absolutely.
woods that can be coloured as
Yeah.
well. So that's quite an
Yeah.
interesting thought that people can think
Yeah.
about bringing some colour in. And small spaces. There's always that kind of go dark or go light.
Yes.
What's
I mean, obviously everyone says don't go too dark in a small space because obviously it makes it feel a bit smaller. But I think I quite like a really cosy dark environment. I think it makes you feel quite safe. You don't have to go white. Absolutely, I would go.
Yeah, because
But
I think
try
there's
these
always
things
that.
out.
Yeah, that's it. There's
Just
always
test them
that,
out.
especially if you've got a small like powder room or something.
Yes,
I think
yes.
that's the perfect place that you could go dark,
Really
bold,
dark.
really
yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
play around
Yeah,
with
it's really
wallpapers.
impactful. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Any other questions from our lovely audience? Oh, look, we've obviously been very efficient and covered all the topics that we wanted to. So thank you so
My
much
pleasure.
for
It's been lovely.
taking
Thank you
part
for having me.
in our Ask the Expert. So Becky du Feu Design. So we'll put all of her details in our bio so that you can follow up and follow her on Instagram. So thank you very much.
Thank you.